Thanks for tuning in to If the Walls Could Talk in Buffalo podcast on the Overreaction Sports Network powered by Believe. With your hosts, Don Purdy and Josh Cormier.
Welcome to If the Walls Could Talk in Buffalo. Don, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You ready for this?
I
see him right there.
Ready.
I see him right there.
Ready for this. All right.
I don't know if our audience is, but yeah.
Before we bring in our guests, longtime Bills assistant equipment manager, Woody Ribbick. Don, we got to do our opening drive, a real short segment that we're going to do at the opening of every one of our shows. By popular demand, today at David Adams Card World, I polled everybody, and I got 3 names for you, and I need your instant reaction in 45 seconds or less.
Wait, for me or for Woody? Wait,
no, for you.
Or for Woody?
For you.
Oh,
you ready?
Man, I thought the pressure was on Woody.
No. All right.
All right.
Number 1, Perry Fuel. 45 seconds or less. Go.
Perry Fuel. He was the defensive coordinator under Dick Geron. His basement flooded during the October storm. I had to help him from Detroit do that. He ended up being interim coach and head of NFL referees. Good guy.
Very good. Good. All right. Second, I know a favorite of yours, Jarris Bird.
Jarris Bird was I negotiated rookie contracts. He was a second-round pick in 2009, the highest one I ever did. His father played in the league, and he was a coach with us for the year I got fired. And when he called me after I was fired, he had a Chicago number that I was done. I didn't have any responsibilities anymore, but it ended up being Marv, and I felt really bad when I didn't answer the call.
That's good. He also finished second in rookie defensive of the year voting.
Jarris Bird, we're going to get on this program. He was one of maybe the best safeties ever for the Bills. Woody might have his own opinions.
All right. Last but not least, another DB, Aaron Williams. 45 seconds. Let's go.
Aaron Williams, great friend of Fred Jackson. He had an injury that I thought was going to be similar to, I hate to say DeMar Hamlin, but he went down with a concussion in the end zone. Again, Woody could probably attest to this. I can't imagine what he thought it looked like, but a terrible injury. But he had a great comeback with a fumble return for a touchdown. Real good guy from Texas. Yeah.
All right. You know what? You did a good job there, buddy. Much better than week 1. Much better than week 1. So we are rounding into.
Well, I'm excited about who we're about to talk with. Yeah,
of course. There you go. I guess so. I'm going to let you introduce the man and the myth and the legend, Woody. So without further ado.
All right. Well, Woody Ribbick is the longtime assistant equipment manager with the Bills. We talked to him once before, maybe a year and a half ago. But since then, we've joined Overreaction Buffalo and a couple of players that he used to work with. He used to work with thousands of players, but Woody is not one to let his opinions kind of just be in the background. He's willing to let it rip. And thank you, Woody, because last night I blew it. Like, you were ready to come on either tonight or tomorrow, and you had to confirm it with me to come on. So here you are. So thanks.
No problem. I'm here.
So Woody, let's start here before we get into some of your amazing memories and stories that you have about camp, and maybe a couple of offensive linemen like Jerry Ostrowski and John Fina, for example. Could you maybe talk to people about what exactly went into this past week, moving the team to Rochester, to Fredonia? I think people like me are just interested in maybe the sheer numbers or volume of the amount of hours that you put into it, how many sneakers, how many pounds, how many pads, just as many of those numbers as maybe you could share with people about just the logistics of getting an NFL team to camp.
It will probably take about 150 helmets, shoulder pads, about 100, shoes, pretty much everything we got, which would be almost 500-600 pairs of shoes, thigh pad, knee pads. We have to supply the coaches. We have to supply the players. We have to supply supporting staff. We have to supply visiting coaches, supply the referees. We'll probably take from remember maybe 10 semis just for the equipment alone.
10 semis.
Yeah. That's regards to it would be the equipment, the weight room, the train room, the outside equipment. Outside equipment takes, I think, 1 or 2 flatbeds. So it takes us about a week to set up. But the only thing that stinks is when we break down, we have 1 day to bring everything back. Long days.
You get back for a game, right?
Yeah, when you say the weight room, Woody, you like literally picked up the weight room and brought it to St. John Fisher, right? From One Bills Drive.
At training camp in Fredonia, yes. But at St. John Fisher, we use some of their equipment. The room's not as big as Fredonia. Had the whole gymnasium, and the place St. John Fisher is a small weight room.
Wow. Yeah. No, I remember that. It's almost like, you had all the equipment, the helmets, the shoes, everything you said. And, oh, by the way, the weight room. Just kind of tossed that in, at the end.
Well, I felt sorry for the movers because they had to move all the machines would weigh 1,000 pounds. They have to move because you figure the weight have, I don't know, maybe 200 or 300 pounds on them, plus the frame itself had to be moved. And they were big and bulky.
Yeah. As it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
Go ahead, Don. All right. So Woody, maybe you could share with everybody your biography, your background with the team. I know everybody who's watched Bills games since the early 90s has seen you on the sidelines. In the locker room, you were the Air and Eye Black guy when I was there running around yelling that. But everybody who's ever watched the Bills game, I feel like knows your face or who you are. Maybe you share with people how you got the job, how long you were there, and all that.
August 20th, 1975. Were you born yet?
No, I was December 10th, 1975. Wow.
Okay.
I was. Yeah. I was 8.
Yeah. I started as a ball boy or manager for my football team. I was too small to play football. So my grandfather was rooming at the hospital with the equipment manager from the North Carolina Lumberjacks. And I wanted to get involved in sports because I was tired of my lifestyle that I had. It wasn't pretty. And I went, and he said, go to practice on August 20th, 1975. They need somebody to help with equipment. And I started there. Then I worked with three minor pro football teams in the early 80s. Went to college, major in phys ed, minor in sports management. Sent my resume into the Buffalo Bills and got hired in May of 81. Worked there till the end of training camp. Went back to college to finish up. Was called back in May of 82 to do training camp. At the end of training camp, I went back to teaching college, or I should say substitute. And then from there, I got a phone call that they wanted me to come back, work the strike year of 82. So I was there from 82 on. And in February of 83, I was hired by Kay Stevenson, who worked with the staff, and it was good to go. And I've been there. I was there until February of 2018.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Did you ever miss a game?
I missed 2. I had a detached and torn retina. I got hit during a game, and I was having problems seeing. And Coach Levy says, "What's wrong?" He says, "Coach, I can't see." He goes, "You better get it checked out." I said, "No, I got practice. Don't get it checked out." So I went to see Buddy Pepper, the trainer. He goes, "You need to see an eye doctor now." So I went to see an eye doctor. He goes, "You're having surgery tomorrow morning." I says, "I can't. I got practice." He goes, "You're having surgery. Go see this doctor." I went to see that doctor. The doctor says, "What do you do tomorrow morning?" He says, "I have practice." He goes, "No, you're having surgery." So then at night, about midnight, I get a phone call from the doctor. Says, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I says, "I guess I'm having surgery." He says, "You need to have surgery now." So I missed 2 games. Missed the Ice Bowl game that we had against New England. And then I had the rainstorm game against Seattle. And those are the only 2 games I missed.
So what happened? I kind of remember this because we had the conversson about whether it was workers' comp. Yeah, you get hit, but this was really bad if you needed surgery. Who hit you?
So I got hit during the game. I get hit at least once or twice a game. And this one player, I think he hit me good. I'll give you his initials, Warren Sapp. He got me really good. And I did his golf outing. And I told the guys, "Watch my back." They go, "Why?" Because I'm going after Warren Sapp, who hit me.
And you have clubs now.
I got hit on Sunday, and I hit Friday morning. So it's pretty close being hit. So I decided to blame him anyway. So I went to see him, and I put my finger on his chest. He goes, "You have a death wish?" I go, "No." I said, "I don't have a death wish. The guys behind me will protect me." And I says, "Remember that one kid you nailed in the sidelines?" He goes, "Yeah, I clobbered him." I said, "That person was me." I said, "That happened Sunday. And that following Friday, I was in the hospital having eye surgery." And he goes, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." I said, "Well, it's okay. Like, at least I got, at least I let you know that, that you got me good." So, but it's those things happen. One time I was doing a repair, and I believe Bob Trump, he said, "Oh my God, Woody just got nailed on the sidelines." So for an NBC announcer to know who I am, that's pretty good, but at the same time, it's not good.
You covered a lot of territory there on the field. Yes. After every kickoff, you would run out and grab that tee, and, the action would be at the other end of the field, hopefully, if it wasn't coming back the other way. And everyone would be like, Woody's going to, you were being timed too by your family, right?
Yes, by all my friends. They would have a bet, and with the exact 10th of a second, if I was under or over, that person would have to chug a beer.
You're speaking Josh's language now.
Yeah, I'm gonna perk up right now. I was gonna ask you, Woody, if they had Apple Watches back then on a game day, how far do you think you walk?
Oh boy, I say at least 20,000 steps.
Oh yeah,
because
I were all over the place.
I believe that.
Right now, I'm affiliated with a wheelchair football league, and I do about 25,000 steps in 2 games. And we're in a convention center, so I don't have to do as much running around, from one end of the stadium or one end of the field to the other, into the field house, or it's not as big of an area.
Nice.
Plus, with having 3 knee surgeries, I've had 6 knee surgeries, so I'm pretty much shot. I can't run no more.
That's incredible. So, the theme of our show today, and with Bill's camp opening today, maybe you could just share with people, a couple of your favorite training camp memories in general. Did you prefer Fredonia to St. John Fisher? Like, just give me the overall impression of your 4 or 5 weeks of camp every year.
It actually was 8 weeks when I first started. The only thing I did not like, Fredonia was great because it's only a half hour to 35 minutes away from my house. St. John Fisher is hour 15, hour 20, depending upon how fast you go. One of my best stories was we were having practice. You had Fred Smerlas, Bruce Smith, and you'd actually see the rain coming from the lake coming right towards training camp. And it was thundering and lightning. The players were looking at the weather, and they just hightailed towards the field house. I get Marv. I said, "Sorry, Coach." I says, "Coach, we got to get inside." He goes, "Okay." So it's thundering and lightning. He decides to run into the metal shed. As soon as you walk in, there's like a 10 by 12 foot metal shed. And I went in with him just to make sure he's okay. I said, "Coach," he goes, "What?" He goes, "We got to get out of here." He goes, "I'm dry." I said, "Coach, we're in a metal shed. It's thundering and lightning out." "Oh," I said, "We go run straight ahead. Just because when you run down the hill, it's going to be wet. You got to jump over the curb, then run into the field house." He goes, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to make sure you get in there before." I said, "I'll make sure I get in there before you." He goes, "Are you sure?" I go, "Trust me, I'm going to be there before you are." And I beat him. And I said, and he was running down with his black sneakers, and he almost like fell, but he took, he was graceful enough that he did okay.
Nice. And how about fights? You saw so many fights. Like, it was white hot intensity there for guys making the roster.
Well, here's one. When Coach Levy was still there, Jim Richter and Fred Smerlas were fighting, and I said, "Coach," he goes, "You gonna break it up?" I said, "Want me to? I will. I mean, I know both of them." At the time, I was living with Fred Smerlas. I said, "Coach, those 2 guys lived together during the season." He goes, "Oh," he goes, "What do you think's happening?" I said, "Practice, but training camp's a little bit too long." He goes, "Yeah, we've been here for 6 weeks." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Next year, I'm cutting it down." And the following year, he cut it down to 4, which is nice.
How many 2-a-days? How many 2-a-days were back then? I mean, how many 2-a-days were there back then, Woody?
Every day.
Oh.
And sometimes we'd have 3.
Wow.
3-a-days.
Yeah. We went twice, depending upon how the practices went. If the head coach was not happy with the performance, you have a small walkthrough with the players. But the worst thing back then, you had 1 washing machine, 2 dryers, and the dryers were like not gas. It wasn't electric. It was something else, but it was like friction would dry it, and half the time that stuff wasn't even dry. But
those jerseys had to be nasty.
Well, the thing is, they were old game jerseys, and they weren't as short as they are today. They weren't as light as they were today. They're just jerseys.
Yeah,
it was not pretty.
I'm just thinking back to your conversation,
go ahead.
Because of the rainstorm, and you're with Marv and in the metal, and all of a sudden you're having a conversation about practice lengths, and maybe because of you, that conversation he had with you, he changed the length of practice down by a third. He was just so in tune to talking with people that work for him, and he trusted you.
Yeah, the thing is, the players were talking. You can just tell by the players too that they're getting tired, and we're getting tired. The coaches are getting tired, and we're snapping, and everyone's snapping at each other. And you can't have a progressive camp when you're having all this animosity towards each other. So it was nice, But the funny thing is, you can actually see the rain coming at us. And Meyer said, we're having practice. And Fred Smerlas and Bruce Smith says, F this. And they ran into the field house. Because we knew we had it open to get some ventilation in that room because we heard the rain was coming. But we didn't actually think they were actually going to see the rain coming at us. And we did. There's like a big wall.
And you didn't have phones and, weather on the – yeah, exactly.
The only thing we had that back then was beepers.
That was it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So Woody, a lot of people, our age and younger than us have really gotten a behind the scenes look with Hard Knocks, behind the scenes with training camp and in the NFL. And one of the most kind of the more famous portions of that are when guys get cut and, going along with the camp theme here and you as the equipment guy, like, you have any good stories about guys getting released or guys who made the team that maybe thought they weren't going to make the team?
I remember I don't know if Don was working at the time, but there was one. I don't want to mention the guy's name because he's embarrassed. But when he got cut, you walk into, I think it was Grissom Hall. There was a big window there. Well, he decided he was cut, took a chair and threw it through the window. So
yeah, that's some anger issues. Yeah,
you think some players. I'm trying to think if there was any time where a player would not go see his coach because he knew he was going to be cut. And we've had some players leave, not see the coach, and they take the playbook with them. And then they try to leave the airport, stop them. Because they don't.
Would people try to take their shoes? Would players try to take like their equipment, their shoes, and everything like that?
They've tried helmets, but we sometimes we find out beforehand, and we'll take like their helmets for shoulder pads, but we're not going to give out a used pair of shoes. We'll take the thigh pad, knee pads because you can always reuse them. But if they have their workout clothes, we're not going to give a guy somebody else's clothes.
Right. Right.
Especially now, from Nike and back then it was Logo Athletic. You had Puma. All those companies, Reebok. They would just give us merchandise, and we wouldn't have enough room, so we just gave it away.
Yeah, as long as you showed it. Going back to training camp, the heat of the moment there. I remember you once told us about a fight. Reuben Brown was part of it, but I'll turn it over to you because that was a great story.
Oh, when I jumped him?
yeah, then. Yes. So there was some. Yeah.
It was during the regular season, and two guys were fighting. Some guys, they weren't really known players. And I said, Reuben, he goes, what? And I just jumped him. I started pounding him. Also, the players said, there's a fight, another fight. And they saw that it was me and Reuben. And I said, Reuben, hold on to me tight. And the players were trying to separate us. And it was just something to break up the tiredness of the players. It was like little up, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say. Uplift.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Reuben wasn't happy. I got him good.
All right. So Woody, speaking of Reuben, we're now on the Overreaction Buffalo podcast network. Please like and subscribe both on YouTube and all the social media channels, please. Jerry Ostrowski and John Fina both host shows on this network. And we may or may not have been asked by Joe to maybe get your impressions or some stories about Mr. Fina and Mr. Ostrowski from their time with you.
I have to be polite at this one because I see John a lot. They both had their tendencies to be what we're going to look for. Upset at times with me, which is fine with me because there's no way you can please everybody all the time.
Why? Why were they upset with you?
Oh, just I would do something that's stupid, or I would think of something, it's like the dollar fine. You think something stupid, you do something stupid, or you just do it. And they said, "You're pissing us off." I said, "Well, you're pissing me off." And we would shout a few words. And John is very intelligent, and I would say something, and he goes, "That grammar was incorrect." I said, "Well, I'm sorry. I'm not that smart when it comes to English." Jerry O, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to make sure it's rated G.
You can go PG.
No.
PG-13 even.
Not even that. I can't. No, it'd be worse than that. Put it this way. I shouldn't be saying it, but they had a very stupid rule where the players had to have their pants tucked in. No, the jerseys tucked in. So I would have to tuck my arms into the player's butt, and I would go to the side of their legs. And Jerry said, "That's it." I said, "Sorry, it's as far as I'm going to go." But because he had such he would in his position, he bend over a lot. This jersey would come tucking out. We have a guy from the NFL say, "You got to tuck his jersey in." I said, "Look, I'm tired of tucking this jersey in." I said, "Half the team on the other side don't have their jerseys tucked in." And I said, "I think I'm doing a damn good job." And he goes, "You got to keep doing it." I said, "I'm not doing it no more. I'm done." And Jerry says, "You sure you don't want to do it more?" I said, "I'm fine. I'm fine with just doing it once before the game and once at halftime, and that's it." And I told the guys, "If you have the other team doing it, I'll do it. But until that time, I'm not doing it. I'll just do it in the pregame and at halftime. That's it." But his jersey was, say, about a good 6 inches below his crotch. Easy. That's
wow.
So you figure
out.
So you're looking about a good, Beavis and Butthead. I'm saying it had to be extended about a good foot.
That's great. So you
but
mentioned
I never went towards the crotch. I always went to the side of the hip and the butt.
That's
I should say both sides.
Solid advice for anyone listening to the show from longtime Bills assistant equipment manager Randy Woody Ribbick.
And but there being no buddy, huh?
Yeah. So Woody, you mentioned the sideline. You mentioned the refs. Like, how much interactions did you have with officials? The uniform police, I guess, as they're called. Like what kind of interactions did you have with those guys? During a game.
A lot. I knew Steve Freeman very well. Bill Schuster. Can't think of the other guy's name from Pittsburgh, but him and I had a great rapport. I would pick up the referee's flag for them. So, "You want me to hand it to you, or should I just drop it?" He goes, "You're not allowed to pick it up." So I just toss it down on the ground. He goes, "I could give you a penalty." I said, "No, you can't, because I offered it to you and you didn't want it." I would have I would ask referees for water, and eventually, if there is, 100 referees, I probably knew about a good 80 of them. They knew who I was. They would, and they would actually come and talk to me before a game. And they said, "You still doing this?" I said, "I'm doing what I enjoy."
Yeah. Speaking of enjoy, so when you hear that the Bills are going to training camp, they're there, but over the past week, it took a lot longer than a week to, as you said before, to get everything there, and like only one day to tear it down. But when you hear that, you think to yourself, "Oh man, I really hated this. I'm so glad I don't have to do that anymore." And by the same token, you're like, "You know what? I really miss this part of it."
I go back tomorrow morning if they call me up.
They'd be lucky to have you. Like, why? Like, what is it that
I was told that when you're young, if you want to decide what you want to do for a living, think of what you do for free. And that's it. I work with a wheelchair team, and that's all free. I do area high schools for free. It's I enjoy it. I enjoy the guys I was working with. I enjoyed the players. I enjoyed the coaching staff. Enjoyed the support staff. Plus, just to see, a child or a kid react when he sees his favorite player come walking towards him. He may not sign something, but at least that individual saw his favorite player up close.
What's something you absolutely don't miss, like Don asked?
So it's nice to see that.
What is there something you don't miss?
Are you still there?
Yeah, we're here. Are you there?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Woody? Can you hear me?
You have to cut that tape.
Yeah. So is there something you don't miss, Woody?
The travel from camp to home, the hours. I mean, it just, you're long. I can hear you.
Yeah. So on balance, clearly the hours and the travel, barely register in terms of what you miss like that. And that showed, man, you're few people that I ever saw, there demonstrated as much energy as I saw you. Just, you were the person that, when we traveled, no matter what the weather was on the way back, if we were taking a plane that required that, all the equipment had to come back and be put on the, underneath the plane. Sometimes we didn't. If it was a long one or a short one, you put it on the truck. But for the longer ones, you personally put all the equipment on the conveyor belt to go in it. And I remember just watching from the window, you were just like, come on, is that all you got? Just give it to me. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Throwing everything on. And then you were the last person on the plane. And when you were on, they shut the doors and we came home. And you got some food. One thing I
remember we were playing a game, and this is before we would transport the equipment from one place to the other. And the guys weren't listening to me. I said, guys, this is what I want done. They said, no, we know what we're doing. And he loaded up, it didn't fit. I said, right now, this stuff is going to go home on your expense, not mine. And we need it in Buffalo tomorrow morning. And I called J.O. up, and J.O. says, what's wrong? He says, they're not listening to me. So the pilot came down and said, look, guys, follow his instructions. And they said, we know what we're doing. And I said, obviously you don't, because it's not fitting on the plane. I said, it came here on one plane, it's going to go back on one plane. So they had to take it all off, and I show them I got on the conveyor belt, show them where everything goes, because I really couldn't go underneath the belt because they're there already. I want to have 5 guys in the space where there's only 2 allowed, and we made it fit. And I went to the pilot and I said thank you, and I went to the JO and said thank you. And so then from now on, when we did travel, they said, listen to Woody when he comes off the plane, and this is what he wants done, and go from there.
How many hours a week, Woody, would you work during a season?
Easy 80.
80 hours a week. Every week, 16 straight weeks, playoffs back in the day. Like,
plus you also have training camp.
Yeah.
You have preseason.
Yep.
Yeah. People have no idea. And how many were, at its largest when you were there, how many equipment guys were there total?
Originally there was 2. Then we had 2 more people, Spencer and Jeff Zurich, who are now in charge of the equipment. Then we hired 2 other people, and then my position was terminated, and then we brought 2 more people in. So right now there's 4. We used to have at one point 5.
Did you ever, I always tease Don about this, and you're another one of those guys. You survived how many coaching changes, right? It's kind of incredible if you think about. Did you ever worry, when a coach got let go that, oh man, my time might be up? Sometimes guys have their own, one of everything, whether it's a, director of football administration or maybe an assistant equipment manager. Like, did you ever worry when a coach got fired? Like, oh no, this might be my time.
I did a few times. One time I was worried because we were Chan Gailey was a coach, and he goes, I need everything outside. So we took everything outside, and then you're looking at 2 10 by 20 foot trailers of equipment that we had to move back and forth. So Scott Moore, who was with us, unloaded it. All of a sudden it started raining. And I looked at the coach, he goes, we're inside. So we had to bring everything inside. And this is while there's stretching. So it would take us about a good half hour, 45 minutes to load on the field. We had to pick it all up, move it inside. Also, it stopped raining. Goes, we're going back outside. I need the equipment outside. So we all got together, took everything outside, and also he goes, oh, it's raining. So we had to bring it inside again. And also he goes, let's go outside. I said, Coach, you're going to help us move it? Because I can't do it no more. We have dummies that weigh 200 pounds apiece. I said, I can't pick it up. I said, I'm gonna need some help. You want to help? He looked at me, he goes, are you asking me to help you? I go, yeah. He goes, guys, practice inside. We're not going out. So it was nice to have his cooperation.
That was Chad.
A few times, coaches that's a tough occupation to have. But if you do your job, and Mr. Wilson saw it, and I can't think of his name, Donahue, Tom Donahue. You had Russ, you had Martin Levy as general managers, and they saw what you did. And if you did your good enough job, and if they let you go, they'll try and find you a job somewhere within the organization.
That's
you were interesting. Yeah, there were a few people.
I
would have considered
15 coaches at least.
15, wow.
And I don't know, 5 general managers. So I was lucky. I kept my head, I kept out of trouble within the organization. I did my job, and it paid off.
Yeah, you could say you were lucky, but you make your own luck. Like, everyone recognized your effort when they got a chance to see it.
Yeah, I could actually look to see how many there was, but you're breaking up.
Yeah, before we let you go, Woody, maybe you could just share with everybody. I see the 4 Super Bowl seat cushions behind you. Mm-hmm. I have the 4 Falls of Buffalo poster behind me. Do you still follow the team? Do you root for the team? What does Sunday look like for you now, and what would it mean to you if they ever do win the Super Bowl?
It's long overdue. I do go to games. It's hard for me to keep track of people's names because it changes so often. When you're there for 37 years, you only get to know additional 15, 20 people a year, which is then hard. But now me, I have to figure out who at least 85 players are, because there's not too many players that are left when I was terminated. It was the only thing, Matt Milano, Josh Allen are the only 2 that I would know.
Reed Ferguson is long snapper.
Yeah, that's right. He was there. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was Reed Ferguson.
If I go the first year that I was terminated, I went to the fire because I wasn't fired. The first.
Yep.
What's nice, if I go to where I used to sit, where my family used to sit, if I yell for a player, they'll come and talk to me, which is respectful.
That's nice.
Oh, it was nice.
Woody.
They would stop, wave. I said, I know you. I realize you can't come over and talk. And he said, "Oh, bull." Then they come over and talk to me.
Will you?
But this is before.
So tell us, Woody, what are your feelings on the new stadium, and what will it be like for you when the old stadium closes, considering how much of a part of your life that was?
I like to see the stadium be a dome stadium. Reason being, you could have more functions going on. You can host conventions, you can host concerts. But then again, management wants to do their own thing. What I would do is, instead of having a grass field, I don't know, Don, if you remember, you ever been to the old Baltimore Stadium where they actually had turf and they actually had the grass grow through it? And it was probably one of the best fields I've ever been on. The old stadium, it needs to go. I think when it was built, it was not built 100% the way it should have been. And it was just falling apart. It was falling apart where spots it shouldn't have been. One time we had they're making a repair between the administration building and the stadium right by the concourse. Mm-hmm. Also, we heard this pounding. All of a sudden, a big chunk of concrete comes flying through. And I see a guy looking at me. I says, "What are you doing?" He says, "We're digging." I said, "You're digging over in the locker room." "Oh, we didn't know that." But it's just the idea. They had no idea what was underneath the concourse. And we actually had to build a gutter so we wouldn't get wet when it rained.
Wow. Time to go. Will you be sentimental at all when it gets filled in and torn down?
No, it needs to go.
I knew you were going to say that. I think anybody who spent that long in an NFL locker room probably has lost much of their sentimentality.
Yeah, but back when it was built, it was probably the best that you could have had. But I would have made rooms bigger than what they had. But then again, I'm not a contractor.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Final question for Woody there, Don.
I guess I would just ask him for as long as his career was. Like, I know Woody, you worked every minute there, like you were focused, but you had to, games happened and they mattered for us, and the outcome of the games mattered for all of us. I think I remember you saying that you built one of your homes or bought one of your homes on one of your Super Bowl bonuses. So the outcomes, yeah.
It was all, nowadays, Super Bowl bonus would be, depending upon how much the owner are generous, it could be $100,000. But back then, we got a quarter of it of a salary, but after taxes, you got about $8,000, which is nice for. Okay. But it was like, between the Super Bowls, I moved like 2 or 3 times, and I was able to get equity, and I got money. So
if not just for one, it was cumulative, like for a bunch of those, because we win every single year. But like, what game sticks out to you as, oh my gosh, the outcome of this game is something that we all just celebrated like madmen? I would have some guesses for that, but what sticks out to you for that?
One would be the comeback game, and second one would be the game against the Raiders, 51-3 victory.
There you go. Yeah.
Were you on the sideline, like in the stands as a 15-year-old? It was a giant party in the second half. Were you able to relax in the second half of that Raider game, or were you already on to thinking about, oh my God, we're going to pack for the Super Bowl?
Are you asking me or Don?
You, Woody.
You.
No, we were just concentrating on the game because anything can happen. I've seen teams score 17 points in 77 seconds.
Yeah, true.
Actually, it was 21 points that we were playing against Denver.
Yeah.
Came back.
That's true. That's a good point.
But right there, it illustrates like the fact that you were still, you had your job to do to make sure everyone was equipped, but you were still aware of the score and what it meant.
Well, the guys we were playing against Jacksonville. We were playing against Miami, and we won, and we had to have, I think, what team lost for us to go to the Super Bowl, to the playoffs?
Since Cincinnati beat Baltimore.
Yeah. So we're in the locker room, and we had like 15 seconds left, and the guy saying, "Aren't you excited?" I said, "I'm not going to be excited till I see the double zeros in the whistle blowing."
See, they didn't learn their lesson a few years later with 13 seconds left.
Not going.
Sorry. Before we let you go, could you talk to us a little bit about your wheelchair?
Please do.
Wheelchair football.
We practice every Tuesday and Saturday at Como Park. Saturday at 8:30. Tuesdays at 6. We have a game in Tampa in the first weekend of August. We have a set of games in Minnesota in September.
What's the name of the team?
The Buffalo Bills. We are NFL sponsored we are sponsored by the NFL. So
is Bud still part of that?
Yes, he is.
Dennis DiPaolo?
Pardon me?
Dennis DiPaolo?
He's part of the committee to help us raise funds.
Nice.
With the team that we're associated with, football, the gentleman is named Norm Page, and he does stuff with wheelchair football, wheelchair hockey, curling, lacrosse. We just did a ride for Roswell, and we had people with MS, MD. They were riding bikes for the first time. They were enjoying it.
Wow.
One lady who has MD, and she worked her ass off to do the 10 miles. And she has to pretty much move everything with her chin because she has very little mobility with her limbs. And she was just going full speed. And then Mrs. Wilson was there to cheer her on, which was really nice.
That's amazing.
Scott Bueller was there. And it's nice to see people out there contributing to have other people that don't have the ability that we have to do things, and they love it.
Well, I would go on record right now as saying, if you could help us, we'd like to do a live show sometime at Ilio's with Dennis and you, and we'll do whatever we can to help promote it, because that's beautiful, like what you just shared there.
Good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
We'll get your butt out there too. Bud is more of a spokesperson than I am. I just felt I'm just behind the scenes guy, like I like to be.
You tell it like it is.
You did a hell of a job for a very, very long time. We're gonna leave it there with Randy Woody Ribbick. Thanks for being nice to me, Woody, unlike you were when I was an intern at the Bills. But we both mellowed and aged, so we're all good. Thanks for tuning into the Overreaction Buffalo Network. Please like and subscribe, and Don and I will be with you again next Friday. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care, guys.
Good.